This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of the first three seasons of the 2003 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show. And unlike when I did it for the 2012 one, I am going to be doing this while I am watching the show. I'm currently towards the middle of season 4, but since season 3 tells more or less a complete story with their confrontations with the Shredder, I decided to do that all together. And plus, I was going to be taking a brief break for the release of Mask of the Empire, and I'm recording this all before that book came out because I just want to spend as much time possible reading that book because I am very excited for it. So going into this, I'm going to start with season 1, which was probably the most compelling of them so far. It has probably some of the best moments of the series, although it does have, most of the probably it's not the biggest criticism, but it's the kind of funniest thing I can mention about this, which is the fact that the Shredder just is very durable in this and basically survives like everything. And as I mentioned, the first three seasons are the ones where they deal with the Shredder as an antagonist. And while I don't know about the future, it does seem like the Shredder is written out at season 4, although there are references to him and his legacy. He is not really in there at all, besides a few like visions and flashbacks. But yeah, with this season 1 really goes and helps set it up. He is the primary antagonist of it, and with it you get a lot of interesting stuff with him. The turtles are mainly going up against his operations, although they do go up against a few other ones. And this doesn't have the, let's say, at least interesting reveal about the Shredder for this one. But from what I could tell, this is, at least towards the Turtles' origins, a little closer to the comics, where Hamato Yoshi is Splinter's master who is killed by the Shredder. Although I like it more when Hamato Yoshi is the person who becomes Splinter and is mutated into him. And that just makes him more of a compelling character. But so this version of Splinter is still interesting, and I believe, as I mentioned in that review of the original, or not the original, but the series that came out after this, that really Splinter and Shredder are usually the characters that I'm most intrigued by in this, and again, that is continued here. And just going through the rest of just some stuff in season 1, it pretty quickly introduces April and Casey, where the 2012 one waits at least, I think, a season, maybe 2 seasons before introducing the character of Casey Jones. And here he is introduced in like episode like 3 or 4, going through the just majority of season 1. They're mainly stopping Shredder's plans and then have a few confrontations with him. Each of them ending with them believing that they have killed him. Although it is made clear in these ones at least that the Shredder is still alive. Probably the most interesting part is towards the end where the Shredder wins and destroys April's house and then forces the turtles to go into hiding and go to the farmhouse. And that becomes a setting for only 1 or 2 episodes here, but they continue to return to it throughout the seasons that follow. And with the end of their final confrontation with Shredder for the end of the season, where they believe that they have killed him, they notice that Splinter has gone missing and have to go out looking for him. where they're eventually transported across the galaxy after discovering that an alien race is there. And then there's the space arc, which is it's at least interesting there. I've sort of got a little bored during it. I feel like it could have been like an episode or two shorter, but still it was overall pretty interesting. Then they go to learn the origins of the Shredder and have another, what it seemed at the time, final confrontation with him, where, as the audience, we already know the Shredder's still alive at this point. They go and fight the Shredder here and seem to kill him when he gets blown up in a building. And we've also learned that he is an alien Utrom, but that reveal was more or less pretty obvious after what was happening in the flashbacks and us seeing the Shredder back then. But yeah, honestly, then it gets to some more random episodes, some dealing with just kind of more random concepts that don't have too many future implications, some that do, like Leonardo having to fight the Ultimate Ninja, which does tie into events that happen later in the season. And then there's the episode that honestly it was a kind of pointless episode, and I'm assuming that there might have been a good gap between episodes, although I'm just looking through, the episode list just to make sure I don't miss anything important. And this only takes place, airing wise, like 2 weeks after the end of the entire thing where they go up against the Shredder. And this one is just literally a recap of basically like the first season and the ending of, or the beginning of this season. So it's just kind of odd. I'm going through just some more stuff. They introduce some characters that are more important, like Leatherhead, and then a more tragic episode with the entire underground, where they learn these people have been transformed into monsters and need to find a cure for them. Then there's an interesting one with the city at war, which is about a giant gang war that's been building up in the background of the last few episodes since the Shredder has truly been believed dead and people trying to take power. And at the end of this, we learn that the Shredder is still alive. It also introduces the character Karai, who is another one of the more compelling characters in this series, with her being the Shredder's daughter in this, but also having her wanting to be more honorable and not committing the atrocities that her father has done. And just as an audience who learns Shredder is alive, the Turtles don't learn that yet. And then there is a few more, another episode that's kind of random, and then they do learn that the Shredder is alive. They fight him again, and they're really not too surprised at this point as he keeps coming back. And just as an audience, neither are we. They seemingly kill him again, although we do see him again escape. So yeah, it's honestly not too crazy. Then going through it, there's some other interesting stuff. Like there's something that I didn't mention in the previous season, but the fact that superheroes are very prominent in this world and do exist. So it is a little more odd that the turtles can't be as accepted, where there are people with actual superpowers and stuff to be explained, and well, they soon will learn of aliens. But it is interesting when we go into the final arc of it, which is just basically this entire Mortal Kombat like event, where it's just a giant fighting competition, and it's a pretty interesting concept for it. They're able to bring in a bunch of different IPs and stuff that were created by the comic creators, and it was just a fun introduction to some characters, the return of the Ultimate Ninja, and just some other just fun, interesting stuff. And yeah, honestly, these characters were just a lot of fun, and it was really interesting to see. Season three is it's a little more crazy and it has a few different things. It begins with a Triceratops invasion of Earth and them eventually being able to defeat them and ultimately get peace put into the further galaxy and take down both the Triceratons and the Federation, who were introduced at the beginning of season two by taking out their major military leaders slash heads of state and putting in ones that are more peace loving and not wanting to commit the atrocities that their peoples have previously done. Then after that, there's some like kind of random episodes that are following out some different stuff. There's some decent things. A nice Christmas special that's tossed in there, and then they go more into the Shredder, who is now publicly building his image as himself trying to rebuild New York, while he's secretly going and stealing as much alien technology as possible. Going through the rest of it, that's mainly what Shredder's up to. They do have a time travel episode, and an episode where basically the two original henchmen, being Hun and Baxter Stop Command, are after attempting to go and kill the turtles in one of the episodes where they go to Beijing, which has been floating above the planet, have the Triceratons pulled it out, but for whatever reason, even though they are now on good terms with the people, at least the turtles didn't put it back down. And with that, they try to kill both Cry and the new scientist. I don't remember the guy's name, but they try to kill them, and then Shredder, for the betrayal, sends them to work as prisoners until he has to have Cry saved from Bishop, who is definitely a different character than the 2012 show, where he is friendly to the turtles. Here he is just a full-on evil antagonist, which is it's honestly more interesting there in this show because in the other one he is just more or less an ally and is part of the Utrom species, while here he is just a full-on kind of evil mad scientist character. But yeah, the character of Hunt is able to redeem himself in the Shredder's eyes. And then they have a pretty interesting one where they go back to stuff happening in that time travel episode. And with this sort of end of the season, I feel like a few of these episodes were sort of out of order. Where I think that the one about Han getting his redemption should have been moved until after the entire storyline that continues on the time travel one, because with this one, especially, it gets just a little more easy to move into that final arc at the end of the season. And then the entire time travel thing probably could have been better if they had those episodes go week by week, where the first one they have I think it's like Ultimate Dracos, what they call it, and taking the Time Scepter, and then have this entire arc. Although, with the way they released the episodes, I think the Donatello one should have went first, where they could have built into that mystery a little more and thinking that only Donatello was sent to the future, and not knowing that his brothers were sent to other worlds, where this is a timeline where it seems that he abandoned the turtles, and after that he comes to this apocalyptic future where the Shredder rules, which is, I mean, I think it's interesting, and I don't really know at what point from the next episodes where this would have happened, unless it's him going alone on the ship to try and stop the Shredder, and he disappears after that. which would likely assume he is dead, but going through these in order, the first one is it's an interesting one where Michelangelo sent to a world where the turtles are superheroes. I mean, that's a fun, but ultimately it's nothing too impactful since it's just a complete, alternate universe. But it is still more interesting than Raphael one, which is just a giant race one. The one annoying part of these is at the start of every episode, instead of having a previously on, they replay the same opening over and over again to show, hey, this is what's happening. They're being sent to these other worlds. I think it could be more easily just set up as a previously on where they get sent to these other worlds and then start the episode itself. Then going to the Donatello one again, as I said, this is an interesting one where he goes up against a post-apocalyptic future where the Shredder has taken over the Earth and a good amount of the galaxy. And with that, I think it's a really interesting story as they're forced to go up the Shredder and basically everyone dies besides Donatello, who gets sent back to the past. I'm not fully sure, but I feel like there's a good amount of inspiration for the Last Ronin taken from this because it's a very similar story in terms of concept, although not with the exact same characters since, Donatello isn't the Last Ronin in that. But finally going to the end of the season, there's between that there's an interesting one where Bishop tries to make this, like, series of evil clones after kidnapping Splinter, but the actual finale is just a really crazy confrontation with the final battle between the Turtles and Shredder. And in this one, Shredder is at first being beaten by the Turtles because they ambush him before he could put his suit on because he's just more simple robotic body of a man. And during that, Bishop is also attacking them where he's trying to take all the alien technology Shredder has and stop his spaceship from launching. That just causes Shredder to launch the ship in the middle of New York, and the Turtles board that ship. They battle the Shredder, and they're all nearly killed. Which does set some interesting stuff up for season 4. And honestly, it was just a really crazy thing to see with that final fight, and them basically locking Shredder out for a minute and realizing that they have to sacrifice themselves, and them setting the ship to blow, assuming they're going to die, is basically changes at the last moment when the Utroms show up and use technology to freeze everyone in place and are able to get the Turtles and Splinter to medical assistance and able to finally capture the Shredder, who is, although not killed because you clearly could tell that this guy can't be killed, he is banished to basically like a small chunk of ice floating in space, so there's really nothing he can do. And everyone else is sent back to Earth so they could heal from their injuries. And yeah, just going through these first 3 seasons, really compelling stuff, and it is interesting at the end of season 3, because there is ultimately 7 seasons of this, is when they ultimately seem to have defeated the Shredder, and even in the theme song at the start of season 4, it is changed to say that they have defeated the Shredder. So, it's definitely interesting, and although the Shredder is such a compelling character, I do wonder, it's going in because I'm in the episode right before, basically the Shredder's legacy is being visited on, what's going to happen, and I'm excited to continue on this series. Although I am taking that as a small break to read through that new Star Wars book because I am very excited for that. So, yeah, let me know what you thought of the first 3 seasons. Please don't give me any season spoilers for really anything that's going on forward because don't know too much about that. So, still would like to go in blind. And let me know what you think of the show overall. So, just don't include spoilers. Let me know in the comments. And also in the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.